Y'all got to do that more often. Maybe I just let them do that from now on. I stay out the way. I think
That's what we're supposed to
I'll
do.
be the cheerleading squad.
Yeah.
I know who I am.
Hakuna Beseda. All right. Let me take this. Whoa. I don't want that. All right. So we're going to do Understanding the Whole Book Part 31 and next week Part 32. All right. Technically like 50 parts. These got stuff on pause. All right. So before we get started here, restoration and resurrection. How does it work? Okay, is anyone familiar with restoration and resurrection? Now, of course, everyone's familiar with the regular resurrection of the body and things like that, right? But we're going to talk about today is not the resurrection that we're all accustomed to, but a personal resurrection and a personal restoration. All right. So we're going to see how this works, because if you're trying to be a part of the main resurrection, you might need to make sure you're ready first for the individual resurrection that you're supposed to have, which we'll see in the Hebrew later on. All right. So before we get started, that of course, a review, a preparation or preparations of the tabernacle, evaluating self, looking inside of yourselves. That's going to be the main theme. So I'm going to go back just a little bit of history we went over months ago. I tweaked it just a little bit. And then from there, understanding the power of the Ruach. And I put intro only because that will be what we'll be talking about next week. Next week is going to be dealing with what's the purpose of the Ruach, right? So we'll talk about that next week. But before we do that, we need to figure some things out. All right, so rules. Please keep your mic muted except when asking or answering a question. Use the mic to speak. There's a feature in the room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. These rules are due to time and the recordings of the lesson. These are lessons, live teachings. We must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. This will be mixed with discussions to help build one another. Please do not abuse the time. Okay? All right, so we're going to go into primarily a little bit of Revelations, and then next week we'll see how we tie some of these things together. All right, so Revelations 21:1 says, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea." Right? I put the Hebrew here just because it's a little bit different. The King James has, well, we'll just read first in the Hebrew here. It says, "Ra'iti et ir hakodesh," right? Which means, and it says, "I saw the set apart city, Jerusalem HaKadeshah, the New Jerusalem." I got in brackets up top there in the Hebrew there, Yochanan, because Yochanan is not really there in the text, in the Greek text. It's just King James has it. I don't know why King James put it there, but it's not in the original Greek. So we'll keep going. "Coming down from Elohim, out of Shamayim, out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned with her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Elohim is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them, their Elohim." Okay, now Elohim, I want you to go, this is the actual Hebrew version versus the Aramaic would be Aloha. All right. So then Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. That's what we're all looking forward to, right? "And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. Ani ha'aleph v'tav," or I'm the aleph and the tav, the beginning and the end. "I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely." We'll talk about that next week. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and the unbelieving, and the abominable, and the murderer, and the whoremongers, and the sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. All right. So we're not going to go into the prophecy of this. I really want to focus on us personally. Okay. So we're going to break down maybe verse 3 and 4 and see how that goes. All right. So verse 2, right? We've already read verse 2 there. Goes with Yeshayahu Isaiah 52, and in the Septuagint, Isaiah 61, right? So Isaiah 52 verse 1 says, awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion. Put on your beautiful garments. Okay, it says, Jerusalem, Ir HaKodesh. Just as you read above, you see it here, the what? The set apart city of Jerusalem. For henceforth there shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake yourself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose yourselves from the bands of your neck, O captive daughters of Zion. The Septuagint has 61:10. It says, and they shall greatly rejoice in Yahuah. Let my soul rejoice in Yahuah, for he has clothed me with the robe of salvation and the garment of joy. He has put a mitre on me as on a bridegroom, and adorned me with ornaments as a bride. Right? Now, what's a mitre? Huh?
It's a form of a head covering that the men wore. I don't remember if the turban, right? Yeah, the turban. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so keep that in mind. If you had any doubt, it's actually on the board. Hallelujah. Great. Now, the other part I want to see is comparing the two texts. We can see that Israel's returning to Yahuah as a kala, as a bride coming to her new or renewed. Baal is the word for husband. I know you guys don't like that word Baal because you're thinking of the pagan deity Baal, right? However, the root of that word literally means Baal is husband. It was elevated later on to the Canaanite deities as Baal as something pagan. All right. 62:1 says, for Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest until her righteousness goes forth as a light and my salvation burns as a torch. And the Gentiles shall see your righteousness, and kings your chabod, or your esteem, and one shall call you by a new name, which, can anyone tell me what that says in the Hebrew there? Ye Yikavenu. Okay? Yahuah, which literally Yikavenu means he will pierce or he will mark in King James's name. But literally it means he's going to mark you. Okay? By way of like an engraving. Have you ever seen this word here? No, I'll skip it. All right, we'll keep going. Yeah, we'll talk about another. It's in better sheet. What we call a woman, like a nikhava, like a woman. All right. All right, so verse 3 says, and you shall be a crown of beauty in the hands of Yahuah, and your royal diadem in the hand of your Elohim. And you shall no more be called forsaken, and your land shall no more be called desert or wilderness. For you shall be called my pleasure, and your land inhabited. For Yahuah has taken pleasure in you, and your land shall be inhabited. And as a young man lives with a virgin, so shall your sons dwell in you. And it shall come to pass, as a bridegroom will rejoice over a bride, so will Yahuah rejoice over you. Everyone's starting to see what's going to happen here. Now, we'll talk about this wedding in the future, but what we're going to see is, how do we prepare ourselves to be this bride? How does that work? This is what we're going to go over. And by doing that, I want to test some things that's in everybody's heart today. I pray you're going to write it down. All right. In the text, Yashahu assumes that Israel's former estrangement from Elohim and highlights the reuniting of Israel back to Yahuah. So we're going to see what's going to wind up taking place. If we're trying to get back to him, there are some conditions that must take place, and we're going to talk a little bit about them today. All right. We already read 21:3, so I put, one would have to consider that when the tabernacle of Elohim is with his people, the exile must be over. Okay, so when he's with you, there's no more exiles. Everyone good? All right. Ezekiel 37:20 says, moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, or Ani Yahuah, do purify Yashra Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. Now, keep that in mind. Leviticus 26:11 and 12. This is what happened back then, right? It says, and I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and will be your Elohim, and you shall be my people. So we're going to see this pattern, hopefully next week, how this tabernacle is going to stem all the way back to the garden, like we initially said some time ago. We're going to start putting this all together. All right. Let me see here. So restoration will come when Elohim himself will tabernacle in the midst. Okay. Now, what happens when the tabernacle is gone? What happened when the tabernacle is gone? So, someone say that? Hey.
Then he's not in our midst.
Okay, so he's not in our midst. Okay, Namana.
And there is no restoration.
Okay, there's no restoration. Okay. Anyone else? All right.
We go in exile.
Slicha.
We go in exile.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. 26:30 says, and I will scatter you among the heathens, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste. Then shall the land enjoy Shabtoteha, right? Her Shabbats, okay? As long as it lies desolate, and you be in your enemy's land, even then shall the land rest and enjoy Shabtoteha, right? Her Shabbats. As long as it lies desolate, it shall rest, because it did not rest. How? Bishabtotechem, right? What does that mean? In your Shabbats, when you dwelt upon, so you guys violated the Shabbats, it didn't get rest. So I'm going to get you out of the land so the land can rest, because you're not allowing the land to rest. You're not doing what's supposed to be done on the Shabbat. So I'm going to kick you out. And upon them that are left alive of you, I will send faintness in their hearts, and in the land of their enemies, and the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them, and they shall flee as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall when none pursues. And they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword, when none pursues, and you shall have no power to stand before your enemies. And you shall perish among the heathens, or the Gentiles, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up. Okay, so when Elohim is not in the midst of you, the enemy knows and comes to attack you. Okay, so when he's in the midst of them at the time, where was the enemy? Nowhere. Ain't no enemy gonna come when y'all right there in the midst. It's just not gonna happen. Is everyone with me so far? All right. So, question is, what can the enemy use as the means of attack? Okay, he's gone. What can he use?
Basically, he got to get you away from the Father's presence.
Okay.
In order to attack you, I guess, isolate you from the Father's presence.
Okay. So you're saying he has to get you away from the Most High? Okay. Anyone else?
Doubt.
Doubt? Okay.
I was thinking about slavery, and that's what I was thinking about when you asked when the tabernacle was gone. So basically keeping you from reading, keeping you from praising him, worship.
Okay.
Distractions, lies.
Okay.
Fear.
Okay. Now, Mana, Kanisha, and Daoud.
Moreh, he just said exactly what I was going to say, the Aki that just spoke. And also he could use doubt.
Okay.
I just want to remind everyone, please raise your hand when you want to share, and we'll get to you in that order. Thank you.
Okay. Kanisha and Moreh Daoud. Okay.
No worries, Moreh. Someone already said what I was going to say. Hold on.
Okay. All y'all thinking alike. Got it. Daoud.
Shalom. Make you feel overwhelmed. Like serving the Most High can be overwhelming. Like you're not good enough.
Okay. Danny Yahuah.
That's okay, Moreh. Go ahead. I'm all right.
Okay. All right. Let's look at something.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I sure did. All right. Your past is what you're going to use to attack. Okay. Your current situation or situations, ignorance, your rebellion, the way you process information, your loveless acts. Okay. Now that we have these 6, your past, everyone kind of gets what I mean by your past, right? There are some things in your past that the scriptures tell you must fix, but because the past hurts so deep or so much that it's hard for you to get over certain things. But according to the scriptures, you have to. Is everyone in agreement? All right, that's the past. Your current situation, whatever you're currently going through, sometimes, you want to take a different angle, a different approach because of what you're literally going through at that moment, right? Things can change just like that, right? Now, ignorance. Tell me about ignorance.
When you don't know something.
Mm-hmm. How can you use that?
Lack of knowledge.
Okay.
So if you don't know something is wrong, if you don't know something is against the Most High's commandments, just like you didn't know eating pork was wrong, but you loved them pork ribs, them chitlins,
I don't know about that.
Pig feet, hog maws, the jowls, yeah.
So I want you to think about something. In your ignorance, and you do something, and you're doing something in ignorance. I don't care if it's by someone says something to you. They may be ignorant, but the thing behind it is that ignorance you hold on to as true. All right. Now, when someone else comes with something that, let's just say, is a lot more accurate, or it shows that you're wrong, you can't get rid of that thing because of the ignorance that you felt like that was the light, and anything that goes against that is not light. Okay. So something has to balance that, right? Which we'll talk about later. Okay. Your rebellion. Everyone's familiar with your rebellion, right? We know that sometimes brothers and sisters can rub each other the wrong way, and we can get rebellious one towards another, right? And Mashiach says that he prayed that we be one as. So sometimes we're having a hard time with that, okay? But the problem sometimes is you, right? Okay. Doe, you had something?
Yes, Moreh. I thought your rebellion is your rebellion an app?
Yeah. If you're rebelling against what he says, that is your rebellion, because you're already stating, I'm in the covenant. Well, if you're in the covenant and you start rebelling, then you're the problem. Okay. The way you process information, Oh, Kanisha?
So when you were talking about the past, so how do you get someone to not get someone to, but can someone really get over the past? I'm dealing with a friend who I pray with, but they're dealing with where they were sexually violated as a child, and this past keeps coming back up, and you can tell like certain things are tormenting her because of it. How do you deal with the past in regards to something like that? Like, you know, of course he can use that against you, the adversary. So, like, is that something from your experience that how would you work through that?
Okay.
I guess.
All right. So a couple of things. One is, sure, the word tells us how to do this, right? But sometimes you need a little bit more. So depending on how strong it is, sometimes you need counsel. Sometimes you're going to need some one-on-one counseling and walking you through certain things and trying to clear your mind. And it doesn't mean you forgot about it. And so I want to make sure we're clear that all of a sudden, oh, I don't remember. You will remember, but the point of it is you overcame it. You're an overcomer of what you've been through. So some people can use the word, some people can, and they'll be fine through prayer and meditation and fasting. Some people need counseling to learn what unforgiveness, what it means to forgive.
Go down, Moreh.
So then we have your loveless acts. You want to tell me a little bit about some loveless acts? You do something to that person. Before I even answer, you want to give me some example of some loveless acts?
Please. Mashiach? Was that Mashiach?
Okay. You put it down really quick, huh?
Yeah, Shalom. If we take in consideration that love is doing the Father's commandments, that the loveless acts is the acts which doesn't include the Father's commandments, if we go against it.
Okay. Anyone else? Namana?
To purposely do something to hurt someone.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it like maliciousness?
Okay. So, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess the intent of your heart, as far as if you do something, like whatever the intent of your heart is, if you're not coming from a right place.
Okay. Right. So everyone sees the levels. The level is asking me something just totally wicked. Something that's just. Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be malicious intent. It could just be I'm doing something for me, and I don't care who I affect in the process.
Okay. All right. So it ranges from something that you can really see to something you can't see. So what you can see is how they literally treat you. You know, that's just, it's plain. But how about someone gives you something and you're thinking they give it to you in love, but really they're giving it to you in spite. You see what I mean? They're like, oh, I need this here. I got it for you. But they really, really didn't want to give it to you. But they only did it because, either you're in need, but yet they had plans for it. It could be anything, a range of things. But my point is there a way where you can see it where it's literal, and then you can see it in a way that it's hidden. And only one that knows it is who? The person that did it. If you did a loveless act, you need to go somewhere? I'll take you. You really but you really didn't want to do that. You're the only one with the vehicle in the room. And they're asking, I guess, you need where did you need to go again? Okay, all right, I'll take you there, no problem. They really don't want to do it, but they do it. So the other person, thank you so much, but they're not having that same joy as that person that's ready to go.
What about the person who does something for another person, but they have an agenda behind it. Like, I'm gonna do this for you, but I'm gonna utilize, I guess I'm gonna do this for you so that you can do something for me.
Yeah, same thing. Yep, same principle. Loveless acts, and we.
I tend to try to look at life in general through the eyes of Hamashiach or Yahuah, but more specifically through Hamashiach, since we're supposed to walk in his ways. And he says that you're supposed to love, one another the same way that he loves the body. And we know that love means instruction. So I just wanted to kind of point out that another loveless act could be something as simple as you seeing your brother or your sister going down the wrong route, and you already know that they're going down that route, and you know what the consequences of that route is, but you say absolutely nothing. You just let them fall. Right. So in a way, that's more of a passive, that's more of a passive kind of stumbling block that you're placing before them.
Right. Exactly. So, because the scripture talk about your brother cries out, you're supposed to help him out. And there's something about this love that we all want, this unconditional love from Yah. Help me out for everything, Father. If he could be your genie, he's the one, right? But when it comes to one another, the same way he's showing us that love, we can't show each other that love. And we're trying to have this unity, this oneness. I pray there be one as we are one, but we're having a hard time with really understanding what that means, right? Remember I said some years ago, I think the Aki was talking about it today, but remember I said some years ago when I was really, I first started doing the Shabbat, man, I couldn't wait till that sun go down. I'm telling you, I'll be looking. I'm like, man, he's like on purpose. He's holding the sun up there in the air. Like, man, the Shabbat is not that long. I'm not learning the times, because as in the summertime, the days get longer. I don't know none of that yet. So I'm just like, just a couple of months ago, it was right on. And I'm looking, I said, man, let me go take some medicine, go to sleep. Man, when I wake up, it'll be over. It's just, I never found a joy in this. But it's a sign between him and I, right? Right. But he knew I didn't really love his commands. So just think about the levels of what realistically what love means. But I had some issues back in the day. That's long time ago. All right. How do we partake in the renewing of the covenant? Everyone here says they want to be a part of the renewing of the covenant, right? Okay, how do you do that? Now, sure, keep your commandments, keep the law, statutes, and commandments, right? So all that's gone. Now, what else? Huh? Anyone else?
Do we also need to do a daily transforming of our minds?
Okay, you said transforming of the mind? Okay. Kenisha? Okay.
Sorry. No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I was gonna say doing the inner heart work, the things that is within you. Like you said, just keeping the commandments. We might be doing stuff because it's what I'm supposed to be doing, but like the brother said earlier, just doing it out of love, loving to keep his commandments, and just working on the inner heart, like not holding grudges or doing things begrudgingly, but doing things out of love.
Okay. Liara?
Denying ourselves, like the things that we want, and taking the time out to truly understand what the covenant is, what the Father is requiring of us.
Okay. Now, Mana?
Shalom, Moreh. Really wanting to do it.
Okay. Really wanting, having a desire to do it. Okay.
Yes, Ken.
A reflection, self-assessment daily.
Okay. Reflection, self-assessment. Okay. So if being a part of this covenant, you got to ask yourself, do you really want to be a part of this covenant? Right? That means in any covenant, any vow, in any agreement, before you say yes, you need to dissect that thing, break it down, figure, is this really something I want to do? Because once I'm into it, it comes with something. This one here comes with some love and just the part we love. Man, He loves me. I love him. Oh my gosh, we're getting married. Oh my gosh, we're going to be in Mount Zion, and it's going to look okay. But that's great. Now let's talk about the other part. But when your heart's not right, there's these other things that comes out of it, curses and punishments and all these other things that you got to consider as well. So just keep that in mind. But here are some of the things you might want to add to the equation here. For if they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespass, which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised heart be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquities, then will I remember my covenant with Yahuah or Jacob, and also my covenant with Yitzchak or Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham. Will I remember, and I will remember the land. The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy Shabtoteha, right? Her Shabbats, while she lies desolate without them, and they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquities, because they despised my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes. Okay. And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them. Ki ani Yahuah Elohim, which means, for I am Yahuah your Elohim. 45 says, but I will, for their sake, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, in the sight of all the heathens, or the Gentiles, or the nations, that I might be their Ani Yahuah Elohim. I might be your Elohim. Now, a couple of things I want you all to see is confess their iniquities. How many of us do that in our prayers? We confess the iniquities of our forefathers. Okay, so we have yours, fathers. So everyone has that in their prayers a lot, right? All right. They walk contrary to him, having what type of heart? Circumcised in your heart. You have to be questioning. How many of you guys in here is humble? How many? I love to hear. Hands can go up if they like. How many people here are so humble? Y'all can't wait to pick you up. Huh?
Increase my faith.
All right. So I'm just right. But remember, he said this is how he's going to remember the covenant now, because everyone says they want to be a part of this renewing, right? Want to be a part of this covenant. But yet we have problems with our heart, one towards another. Now, we don't have a problem with Yah, technically, right? No, we love him to death, because he got our nefesh, our soul, right? However, that's one way of looking at it. But if you violate his law, does he really think you love him? Okay. Then this love that we share one another sometimes is not all that clean, is the best way for me to put it. Sometimes it's a little muddy, right? So when things are going well, oh man, we are good. Man, listen, the feast days, we had an awesome time. We were on one accord.
I love you,
right?
You love me.
But what happens next? But some of us could be in there judging one another.
Oh yeah, what they got that on?
What's
that? Wrong with them?
Okay,
they got pork in that.
Well, they don't want them to have nothing wicked, eat nothing unsafe, But I'm saying that, but sometimes it's, we need to recognize that when we have conflicts with one another, that's when the challenge of keeping his Torah is going to come on the scene. Am I able to keep the instruction? Am I able to keep myself calm? Be able to walk this thing out, talk it. Maybe this is not a good time to talk. It seems like you're getting irritated with me. We'll revisit that later. Yeah, you know what I mean? Don't come back to me later. Oh, okay. All right. My bad. Right. So keep that in mind. Accepting the punishments. Now, One person, I talked to said, we don't have to do confessing the sins of our forefathers no more, because their sins have got nothing to do with our sins. But you remember what the Torah says. And then did not Daniel do that? He did the same thing. So just keep in mind that we're just trying to follow what Torah says or Scripture says. Okay. All right. Take a look. Revelation 21:4 says, "And Elohim shall wipe away all the tears from the eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. There shall be no more pain, for the former things are passed away." That goes with Yahuah, Isaiah 25, verse 5. We were a faint-hearted men doing what? Thirsting in Sion by reason of wicked men to whom you did deliver us. And Yahuwah Sabaoth shall make a feast, is implied, for all the nations. Wait a minute. He's going to make a feast for all the nations? Okay. On this mount, what mount is this? Sion. Okay. They shall drink gladness. They shall drink wine. What? That's why we do it now, so we can prepare ourselves. All right. They shall anoint themselves with ointment in this mountain, impart you all these things to the nations, for this is Elohim's counsel upon all the nations. Death has prevailed and swallowed men up, but again, Adonai Yahuwah has taken away every tear from every face. He has taken away the reproach of his people from all the earth, for the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken it. Okay, so we're looking forward to this time period. The removal of tears is a part of a comfort because death, which formerly prevailed during Israel's captivity, will be done away. Okay, once death is swallowed up, all is left is resurrection of the redeemed. Remember, we said we got to talk about what that is, right? Yeshayahu 26:19 says, "Your dead men shall live together with my dead body, shall they arise. Awake and sing, you that dwell in the dust, for your dew is as the dew of the herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead." So we definitely believe in a resurrection, right? Is everyone fair to say we definitely believe in a resurrection? All right. Verse 10 says, Yeshayahu 35:10 says, "And the ransomed of Yahuwah shall return and come to Sion with a song and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sigh shall flee away." So this is a time period of joy. Now, here's a comparison between the two. I did two of these slides just to highlight certain things. Now, we've already read 21:3. Everyone's familiar with that. But I want you to see that it goes with Ezekiel chapter 43, but different parts of Ezekiel. So we're not going to go in depth with it today, but I just want you to see something. So Revelations 21:3 says, "Now I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Elohim, or Elohim, is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them, their Elohim." Then you look at Ezekiel, or Ezekiel 43:7, and he says, "And he said unto me, Son of man, the place of my throne and the place of the souls of my people, where I will dwell in the midst of the children of Yashrael, or Israel, forever, and my Chodesh name shall the house of Yashrael no more defile." All right. 21:10, "And he carried me away in the Ruach to a great high mountain, and showed me this great city, the Chodesh Jerusalem, descending out of Shamayim, or out of heaven, from Eloah." 40 verse 2 says, "In the vision of Elohim brought he me into the land of Yashrael, and set me upon a very high mountain, and by which was the frame of the city on the south." 21:11, "Having the kabod of the esteem of Eloah, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like jasper stone, clear as crystal." Ezekiel 43:5, so the Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the kabod, or esteem of Yahuwah, filled the house. Now, we went over this already, how it will look. Remember some of that animation we did with the lights and how the stones are going to reflect Yah's light. It's going to be like this, brighter than the sun. All right. 12 says, and it had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates. And at the gates 12 Melachim, and the names written thereof, the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, on the west 3 gates, and on the west side 3 gates, 1 gate. Oh, I'm sorry. So this one here, Ezekiel 48, is going to go with the one on this side. I'm sorry. So when you go over to, on the other side, Ezekiel 40:31, it says in the gates of the city. Then they start naming all the tribes of Israel. Everyone sees these here, and it's talking about the 3 gates, right? 3 gates north, 3 gates. It give you all the names. Now, what name do you see in this one here? That's, let's say in 32, you see who? See Dan. You see Dan, right? Okay. All right. So everyone has a question sometime. Everybody has this question, right? I don't see Dan in the 144,000, right? All right. So this is just a really quick slide. All right. So just so we understand, it is not the scope of this lesson to go over why not not just Dan, but also Ephraim is not mentioned. However, I will give some scriptures to point you in the right direction. So I'm not going to go over the whole understanding of it, but a couple of things. Hosea 4:17 says, Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone. Okay. Amos 8:14 says, they that swear by the sin of Shumron or Samaria, and say, your Elohim, O Dan, lives, the manner of Beersheba lives, even they shall fall and never rise up again. Now listen to what the Torah says. Least there should be among you man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turns away this day from Yahuah Elohim to go and serve the Elohims of these nations, least there should be among you a root that bears gall and wormwood. 20 says, Yahuah will not spare him. But then the anger of Yahuah and his jealousy shall smote against that man, and all the curses that were written in this book shall lie upon him, and Yahuah shall blot out his name from under the heavens. And Yahuah shall separate him unto evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in the book of the law. So notice that there was a covenant made with the 12 tribes of Israel, right? But I want you to think about what's happening with the 144,000 and then what's happening in Revelations 21. What is the two differences between the two? Same thing in Ezekiel, you notice that when they build that third temple, Dan is there again. So if Dan is in that final temple, is the 144,000 talking about that final temple? All right, so you guys can start there and we'll keep going. All right. 21:15. It says, and he that talk, it's on the thing. Yeah, it's recorded. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof and the wall thereof. Now look at Ezekiel 40. And he brought me here, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flux in his hand, and measuring reed, that he stood in the gate. 21:23 says, and the city had no need of the sun, neither the moon to shine in it, for the esteem of the Chabol of Eloah did lighten it, and the Lamb, the light thereof. And then you can also read in Isaiah 60, verse 19. But again, Ezekiel 43, verse 2 says, and behold, the Kabod esteem of Elohim of Yasharal Israel came from the way of the east, and his voice was like the noise of many waters, and the earth shined with his Kabod, his esteem. Revelation 22, verse 1, he says, and he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Eloah and of the Lamb. Okay, Ezekiel 47:1 says, and afterwards he brought me again unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward. And then finally, in Revelation 22:2 says, in the midst of the streets of it, and on the either side of the river, there was trees of life, which bears 12 manners of fruit, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the trees were for the healing of Israel.
Of the nation.
Oh, my bad.
Of the nation.
For the nations. Okay. Ezekiel 47:12 says, and by the river shall grow in all trees for meat, whose leaf shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because their waters there issue out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for food or meat, and the leaf therefore for medicine. Okay, so everyone sees there's a connection between Revelations and Ezekiel. Everyone's clear with this. Okay. All right, so the parallel between Revelation and Ezekiel. Okay, Yochanan's temple city resembles many of the features of Ezekiel. Why? Is because this last vision of Revelation is the fulfillment of what Ezekiel prophesied. Israel will be restored first. Restoration, resurrection will start in his house. Okay, so the eschatological temple and the entire world will know him and his people. It will be in that order, right? To be in that order. Revelation 22:3 says, and there shall be no more curse. I'll highlight that because we'll talk about that next week. But the throne of the Lord and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him, and they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and there no candles, neither light of the sun, for Adonai Yahuah gives them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. What comes to mind in this passage? Anything? What comes to mind? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, great. And it shall be upon Aharon's forehead, and Aharon may bear the iniquities of the Kodesh things, or set apart things, which the children of Israel, shall Kodesh in all their Kodesh gifts, and it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before Yahuah. Revelation 7:3 says, say, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of the Lord in their foreheads. Ephesians 4:30, and grieve not the Kodesh Ruach Haolah of Elohim, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. So now, the renewing comes with a restored priesthood. Okay? His name was on the forehead of the priest, if everyone read that. The royal priesthood will be put in place when the covenant is renewed. It is not a coincidence that the name of Elohim was written on the high priest's forehead. He was the only one allowed entrance into Elohim's very presence in the Kadosh HaKadoshim once a year. So I want you to see that, is it possible that he's now going to, remember that promise he made back in Shemot chapter 19? He wanted them to be a nation of priests. Is it possible now that he's going to make it to what he wanted before the fall of sin? And then ultimately it's going to go all the way back to the garden, right? Everyone with me so far? We'll talk more about that next week. Summary of Revelations is this. Revelation pictures those who have already begun to be restored to Elohim through Mashiach, but continue to be in exile in the Babylonian system of this old world. Although they have begun to return to a redeemed relationship with Elohim, they do not have complete communion with him because of their continuation in the exiles of the fallen world and of their own fallen bodies. This exile prevents full enjoyment of Elohim's presence because of the persecution of the believers, ongoing imperfections, and their own sinful bodies. So while we're in this state, could you imagine in the state that we are, could we be in his presence?
Oh, no.
Now we can get his gift, right? But could we be in his presence in this condition? All right. The full effect of Mashiach's death and resurrection, however, will be felt only at the very consummation when the full spiritual and physical curses of the fall will be removed. The concluding vision of Revelation portrays the pilgrimage of the people of Elohim coming to the end of their exilic journey and being restored to full and obstructed fellowship with the Creator. And he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will be no longer be any death. There will be no longer any mourning or crying or pain for the things that have passed away, which we read earlier in Revelation 21:4. The essence of this restoration for the saints is that their bodies and souls have been removed from the old world through resurrection and placed in a new creational environment. So now that we got this out of the way, now we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to, and then I got questions for you, and then we'll finish, okay? But before we do that, Psalms 11:4 says, Yahuah is in his Chodesh temple. Yahuah's throne is in Shamayim, or in heaven. His eyes behold, his eyelids try the children of men. Question, what do you mean his eyelids try the children of men? I don't know who talking. I wasn't sure.
It's kind of like he can see what's in us. He can see our hearts. So it's like we're going under the. I don't even know how to explain what I'm trying to say.
Okay, you just turn the mic off if you want. Okay. Okay.
What comes to mind is that he knows the end from the beginning. So in terms of his eyelids trying us, he already sees what we're going to already go through. He already sees, excuse me, all the things that we're going to go through. So he's like, all right, you know what? Let me throw this on you, see how you going to act, and then go.
That was a good try. Okay. Anyone else? All right. First, you got to think about here the trying. So let me give you the definition. Okay. So Bachan means to try, right? But to put to the test. Okay. To put to the test. In the Peel form in the Binyan, with the meaning to examine or to inspect. Okay. So is everyone with me so far? So if you think about what he's saying here, behold, his eyelids try or tests or inspects or examines the children of men. That's what's going to happen first. 5 says, Yahuah tries the righteous. So why would he need to try the righteous? If you're righteous, why do you need to try him? Oh, someone speaking? Oh, my bad.
He want to make sure that we are still going to keep what he want us to do.
Okay. So
that's why he keep trying, let us be tested to see where we are.
Okay. Okay.
And I was going to kind of add that, you know, all men are going to have to stand before him in judgment. So whether you're righteous or unrighteous, you're still going to have to be tried. You're still going to have to be examined.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
So
Lyra and about you.
I was just going to say, when you asked the question, it reminded me, I believe it's in Deuteronomy where he said, and he led us into the wilderness to try us to see if we will obey his command.
Right.
I get like a picture of like a refining fire, like us being cleansed and purified. And just as he said, the judgment starts in the house. So that's going to happen with Israel first and then to the world.
Okay. All right. So just to understand that this trying, Yah's going to be trying everybody, even the righteous. Because sometimes when the righteous is doing things right, you're not being tried, so to speak. But then something happens, that's when the trial comes, and that's when it becomes a problem for everybody, for some people. All right. So then he says, Yahuah tries the righteous, but the wicked, and the word for wicked is Rasha. Okay, Rasha. And it really means to be inconsiderate or thoughtless. You know, so when we think about wicked, we think about the worst thing. But also this word also means someone that's inconsiderate and thoughtless. And I know it's none of us, so I'm glad I was able to share some light.
So So if I do something inconsiderately, take somebody for granted, that considers me as a wicked
person.
Person.
Yep. He says, and
I'm gonna go deeper. Husbands, with your wives.
Consider all that they do.
Wives,
consider your
husbands.
Yeah. You don't say husband inconsiderate your wives, wives inconsiderate your husband. Okay. All right. So it says, and him that love. Now we think violence, right? Hamas. We think violence, but it says, but it's also those that do wrong. Okay. He says his soul hates. He can't stand someone that's inconsiderate, thoughtless, and like to do wrong. That is just, he hates that. Okay. So he says, verse 6 says, upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and a horrible tempest, the portion of their cup. For the righteous, Yahuwah loves righteousness. His countenance do behold the upright. So we got to start checking ourselves, see if we, even in trial, in our little trials that we have with one another, how are we faring with some of the information that he's saying for us to do. Now, I'll keep going. 27:4. He says, one thing have I desired of Yahuwah, that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahuwah all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yahuwah and to inquire in his temple. Everyone said that's where they want to go. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Everyone's ready. Y'all ready right now? Everyone's ready right now. Everyone got humble hearts. We're all good. We ready to be there now. No, not yet. Okay, so we said we still got a chance to get it right. All right. Deuteronomy 11:26-28 says, behold, I set before you this day blessings and curses. A blessing if you will obey the commandments of Yahuwah Elohim, which I command you this day, and a curse if you will not obey the commandments of Yahuwah Elohim, but turn aside out of the way, which I command you this day, to go after other Elohim, which you have not known. So again, some of these things we can say we're not doing, so it may not affect you, but for some people it does. So you got to figure out which trial that you need to overcome. Okay. Whenever you find that trial, start working while you have the chance to do that. Yirmiyahu 11 says, and this one have finding the root of your problem. So to hear you the words of this covenant, and speak unto the men of Yehuda and to the inhabitants of Yerushalayim, and say unto them, thus saith Adonai Yahuwah of Yashar Israel, cursed be the man that obeys not the word of this covenant, which I command you, your fathers, in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Mitzrayim from the iron furnace, saying, obey my voice and do them according to all which I command you. So shall you be my people, and I will be your Elohim, that I may perform the oath which I have sworn unto your fathers, to give them a land flowing with milk and honey. And it is this day. Then answered I and said, so be it, O Yahuwah. Malachi 2:1-2 says, and now, O you priests, the commandment is for you. Now, and we all saying we want to be in this priesthood, right? If you would not hear, and if you would not lay it to heart, to give esteem, chabod, unto my name, saith Yahuwah of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart. Okay? Everything about him is set apart. So we can't come to him any old funny way. Okay? All right, so we're almost done here. What is restoration? And I'm talking about towards one another. What is restoration?
Atonement, setting right the wrongs between one another and truly becoming one.
Okay. You know, Shirat, you want to? Oh, you got it. It's a Namana.
It's to restore.
Okay, to restore. Okay, Namana.
Forgiveness.
Okay.
mending those relationships with people.
Okay. Liara?
When I think about restoration towards one another, being restored back to the ancient path and walking in his ways.
Okay. All right. Let's look at something. Now, everyone, I'm not going to say you guys are wrong or anything like that, but I want you to think about what true restoration is. It's a word that you already know. Shalom. Shalom. To have peace, wholeness, make whole, at ease. Okay, the active participle means be at peace with, be a friend of, and the latter text, Eusebius, which is a actual linguist, sees an emphasis on the circumstance of totality and understands the participle as being associated with a member of the covenant people. The occurrence of the appeal totally dominates the overall picture of the verb. Other meanings, so he gives you some of these other meanings: make restitution, recompense, pay vow, restore, and finish. And the hifil means is a causative form here. The hifil somewhat means it is three primary meanings: carry out, deliver up, abandon, and make peace. Okay, this is restoration that we need to do with one another. Okay, we have to do this if we want to be restored to him, but he's given us a command on how we need to get with each other. Then there's a level that we have to try to overcome. I don't care how many times the person stepped on your foot, how many times they did this, how many times they did that. If you want restoration from the Father,
be at peace with.
You better make sure you have that
Be a friend of
with that person. Okay? You say something?
Okay. It could go, you have made peace. You did everything that you could do to reconcile with that person. But the other person look at you kind of crooked, say, yeah. So there's a stumbling block.
For who? If you've made peace, the job is for you to do this.
Right.
So if you're doing this here and their heart's not right, what does it have to do with you?
Okay, because like I said, it could cause a stumbling block
for them.
Yeah. Because if they're in the covenant, if they're also in the covenant, is this not for them too?
Can.
All right. So this is for
I be calling my friend.
all of us. I'm coming to restore what was lost between us. I'm coming to do that. If you don't like it, if you don't accept it, then now that becomes between you, but that person still got to come back to you. Okay.
Or are they gonna miss it?
Okay.
They got their ticket punched.
All right.
They can't get on the train.
All right. Anyone else? All right. So everyone gets it. Everyone understands what restoration is now.
Oh yeah.
No, I was just going to kind of point out, going off of what Eamon was just saying. So essentially, this is realistically for those who are in the covenant. It's not for anyone who is still walking out there in the world.
Make peace with all men. All right. So what I'm simply stating is, what she was sharing is, if I go out to restore myself back to my brother, to my sister, and they reject it, her question basically is like, there's no peace, right? But there is peace. It's peace to the person who went out to go do it. The other person is now required to do the very thing that the law told us to do. Both of us have to do it. So if we both believe in the same word and we do it, then we have peace together. But if one does not, that person that went out to go do it has peace. The other one has to wrestle with why they're not making peace with that person. Because at the end of the day, this is a requirement for restoration. How can you ask the Father to restore you to him when you can't do restoring to one another? That's commanded.
When I don't have peace with you, then I don't have peace with Elohim.
It's not possible.
So if I don't make peace with you, I can't make peace with Elohim. I can be like, I love you, Yah, all day long, but as long as I ain't right with you, if I ain't got it right, then if I make it right with you and you don't want to make it right with me, I have peace with Elohim again. And now you have the other issue. You're my friend, regardless if you like me or not. I'm going to do right by you anyway. You might consider me an enemy, but you're not going to have peace with Elohim, and you're going to
But
get
they
cut
keep
off.
stepping on my foot even after I went out for peace, and I keep trying to give peace, and they just don't receive the peace.
Hey.
Should I stop then?
No.
Gotta keep going.
Keep going.
Oh, okay.
Oh, does Most High stop loving us, forgiving us, because we keep messing up? How many times he's forgiven you, but yet you can't forgive him? It's the 15th time.
Now, mind you, how strong, because sometimes when we say we're going through something, we think that what we're going through is stronger than what Yah went through with his people. There's no way. So if he's still wanting to restore and mend the covenant that he made, despite what they did, I mean, adultery, I mean, you name it, they did it, right in front of their face. So the point is that it should be something we should say, well, if the Father is stating for us to do it, he's not telling us something that we can't do. He's telling you can do it, but you have to make a choice. I'm willing to do it despite how this person feels. I'm hoping that as I keep doing it, that I win them over in newness, or that they see the sincerity of my heart. And then at that point, there's a change. But at the end of the day, once you did yours right, it's left to that person. Okay. All right. Is everyone good so far? Okay. Now, Monty had something.
Shalom, Moreh. Is this is only for Mishpachah, right?
Right. So, well, Shan was, yeah, we don't, they have, if they're in the covenant, you're in the covenant, everyone has a responsibility in that covenant. But it doesn't give us the green light to treat other nations wickedly or anything like that. Absolutely
Oh,
not.
no. I wouldn't, no. I wouldn't do that. Okay, Toda Moreh.
Yeah. This covenant is just for, I mean, these instructions are for those that are a part of this covenant. Right. Just like someone, I will keep going. Let me keep going. All right. What is resurrection? What is resurrection? Now I'm talking about, again, towards who? What is resurrection? Now remember, we're already putting aside resurrection of the body, things like that. So we can go ahead and put that to the side. What is resurrection?
Being brought back to life from a dead state.
Okay, that's why I said we put that aside. Okay.
So, bringing back a newness of oneness, friendship, from a place where y'all wasn't seeing eye to eye, but bringing back a what's the word?
I'm not sure.
Bringing back y'all together, just coming back together.
Okay, all right. Now, Mana?
Moreh, would it be like a new beginning, a new start, a new life?
That's resurrection?
Ken.
Okay. Okay, Toria?
To renew, to start again.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say something similar, like reconciliation.
Okay. All right. So let's look at something. Resurrection from the Greek first. Okay. Anastasis, a raising or rising up. Right. So everyone knows the resurrection in the scriptures, Matthews and John, things like that. But also it states a higher advancement and blessings. We're going to see an example in a minute here. All right. So tracing it back from the Greek to the Hebrew, because you don't really find the word resurrection in the Tanakh, right? You see a lot of it in the Brit CashApp. All right. So Genesis 9:9 is a place where if you look up in the Septuagint, so to try to find out in the Greek, use Septuagint, and you can locate the word there. And it says, and I beheld, I established Mekim, my covenant with you and your seed after you. Now keep this word Mekim in mind. Okay, modern Hebrew word for resurrection is tekuma. Okay, tekuma. But you can find it also in Torah. And they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword, when none pursue, and you shall have no power to stand. And the word there, stand, is tekuma, before your enemies. All right, so the root word for Mekim and tekuma is the word kum. Right? Kwam Yashra Allah, right? All right. So kum means to rise up, to get up, to stand up, come to fruition, endure, belonging to to stay fixed. Okay. So this type of resurrection, could you imagine now what he's asking for ourselves? We need to learn how to rise from stuff. We need to learn how to endure. Okay. And I'm not saying someone keeps stepping on your foot and you just endure it. Okay, get one more time. You didn't get the big toe. I'm not talking about that. All right. I'm saying you need to rise from a lot of this nonsense. Get out of this thing. Resurrect yourself, because you're ultimately wanting to be resurrected with the Most High, because you're getting all the stuff out of your system. You're like a resurrected body. Okay. Now keep this in mind. So when we put these clues together, we can see that the ancient times, resurrection meant to rise up, stand up, be established, having the power to endure, a belonging to. Okay. So outside of the actual resurrection to Yah, what scriptures come to mind when you read this? Everyone knows this one. Oh, okay, she got it. What you got, Liara? Toda.
Would it be the passage of scripture in the Brit Kadashah when the man was sitting at the gates, I believe, of the temple begging, and when he saw the I think it was Peter and John coming, and they said that they didn't have like money, but what they had for him, they would freely give to him.
Mm-hmm.
And they prayed for him in the name of Yahushua, and the man was resurrected from his state, and he got up and he went into the temple with them.
It was a good try. It was really good. I appreciate you trying. Yeah, good try.
I was going to say the first thing that pops into my mind is the scripture about enduring to the end.
Good
And
try.
the self same would be said.
Gotcha. That sounds good. All right. Look at this here. Ezekiel 37. Dry bones. It's going to be resurrection time. Okay, now Monty has something?
Oh, Slika Moreh, I was just reading on chat that Mishael said Ezekiel 37.
Okay, hallelujah. All right. So he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, Oh, Yahuah, or Adonai Yahuah, you know. Again, he said unto me, Prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, Oh, you dry bones, hear the word of Yahuah. Okay. And thus saith Adonai Yahuah, unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinew upon you, and will bring up the flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know that Adonai Yahuah, I am Yahuah. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone. And when I beheld to this sinew, and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, that there was no breath in them, then said unto me, Prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, Thus saith Adonai Yahuah, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breath upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, Our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We were cut off from our part. Therefore I prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith Adonai Yahuah, Behold, my people, I will open your graves, and cause you to come up out of the graves, and bring you into the land of Israel, Yashral, and you shall know that Adonai Yahuwah, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and you shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall you know that Adonai Yahuwah, I need Yahuwah, I am Yahuwah, have spoken it and performed it, saith Yahuwah. So Yahuwah has given us his spirit for starting of this restoration and the resurrection of his people. Everyone agrees to this portion, right? All right. The process is not done in one step. There are levels to this process. My focus will be on the level we control. That level is you, okay? Your heart, your mind, your nefesh, your soul needs restoration and a resurrection from what it has been contaminated by in this world. We've got a lot of contamination in our system. You just have to admit how we were raised, what people have done to us. Some stuff cut really deep. Okay, so we need this resurrection. We need this badly. All right. And he says, and has been contaminated by the world. It says, greater is he that he is in the world. 1 John 4:4, right? So everyone knows that if you believe that you have him inside of you, then that must mean what? I can do it. I can change. I can get over. I have this in me, right? If you believe it. Because if you don't have the faith, then maybe some things is too hard for Yah. Maybe he can't do it, right? Or he can, right? So all that you have been through in the past and can be healed. All that we have done to one another can be healed. Look within yourself and have faith what lies within you. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, so we're going to have to close out in a little bit. I just want to go over something we're going to talk about next week a little bit. All right, so understanding the Ruach. Okay, so really quick, it says, so it says, and the earth was empty and void, but this is an idiom to say it was chaotic, okay, and darkness on the face of the deep, okay, where Ruach Elohim merakefa al panei hamayim. So then he says, and the Ruach of Elohim hovered on the face of the water. Okay, is everyone with me so far? Exactly. All right. All right, so that's the English of it. Now, so the Ruach began to transform the chaos that existed at the beginning of Genesis 1. The Ruach's work in Genesis 2 was continued through the creative word of Elohim that ordered and brought about the further creation. Now, the reason I'm saying this now, because we'll talk about it next week, is just as that spirit hovered over this chaotic place, I wonder if you have some chaotic things inside of you that the spirit's going to need to cleanse out of you. That's what we're going to go over next week. Okay. It's going to be a whole picture parallel between creation and us being created. Okay. That's how it's going to work. All right. Job 33:4 says, the spirit of El made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me life. By the word of Yahuwah were the heavens made, and all the hosts of them by the breath of his mouth. 104:30, Psalms 104:30 says, you send forth your spirit. They are created, and you renew the face of the earth. And of course, Bereshit 1:26, and Elohim said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness, and let them have dominion, and you guys know the rest. Okay? To keep in mind, we're going to talk about this next week. The Spirit also equips people to carry out a specific task, whether it be prophesying, leading, or other special roles. Okay? And here it's just in the Septuagint, you'll see the parallel between Genesis 2:7. It says, Elohim formed man from the dust of the earth and breath into the face of him, the breath of life. And the man became a living soul. Notice in the Greek, it says the same thing in Ezekiel 37, but the valley of the dry bones. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, the bones, behold, I will bring upon you the breath of life. He says, then he said to me, prophesy to the breath, prophesy, son of man, and say to the breath, thus says Adonai Yahuah, come from the four winds, O breath, and breath unto these slain, and let them live. So we're going to see how that works next week. The significance of this is that Israel coming to life is through Elohim's inbreathing. Elohim's first act of breathing into Adam and giving him life was, I put was, slikah, but it says was in two stages. Okay, so likewise, was in two stages. Okay, Ezekiel 37 depicts two stages of creation and the restoring of Israel. First, the formation of the body, and then Elohim breathes life into them. That's the stages, the steps we're going to see next week. This can be affirming that Israel's future resurrection will be a part of an act of a new creation. Again, more next week. We will see how the Ruach plays an important role in the process next week. Closing. Okay, all of us desire to be in his kingdom. Okay, we tend to think that how we treat one another is
righteous.
Oh, yes, we're righteous. The question becomes the following. Here are my questions for you guys. We'll close out. What tells you that you are operating in righteousness? You don't have to answer. You're going to say, oh, the word tells me. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 25, Isaiah 51, verse 7. I know you guys know it. Great. Number 2, what things am I holding on to that does not line up with his Torah? Okay, these are your questions for your own study. Okay, number 3, are you pleased with your actions? Meaning, how you treat others. If not, is it a possibility it is because you are treating yourself bad? Because if I'm going to treat you wrong, maybe there's something wrong with me. Okay. Number 4, do I need restoration in my heart or mind? Is this something I am waiting for when he comes to gather his people, or is it something I can do now? Okay. Because if not, some of us could be saying, oh, there's nothing I can do. As soon as y'all come, then it's all fixed. So I'm going to treat you any old kind of way. All right. So number 6 says, do I need to be resurrected in my heart or mind? Also, is this something I am waiting for when he comes to gather his people, or is this something I can do now? And number 8, how are you preparing and or repairing your heart or mind for his spirit? Because the spirit is supposed to be the thing that's going to be sealing you. But if your spirit's not aligned with his spirit, there's a problem. Okay, you say, I'm ready for the resurrection. I'm ready to be a part of all of these things, but I still don't have myself aligned with his word. Hold on. She's going to get the mic so that they can hear it.
Oh, Tanan.
Uh-huh.
Didn't you speak on the spirit? Thank you. To that.
Can I what now?
Just say did.
Did I speak on the spirit?
Yes. Okay, thank you. I know where to go.
Okay. We're going to find out next week. Now, in closing, of course, you guys all know this here. So this is something where you guys can start. Okay. Circumcise, therefore, the foreskin of your heart and be not more stiff-necked. Okay. Stop being stiff-necked. Start working on circumcising your heart. 6:36 says, and Yahuah Elohecha, Yahuah your Elohim, will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed to love Yahuah Elohecha, Yahuah your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Moreh, I have a question, but it's not really pertaining to the lesson.
Oh, that's where we stop there.
Sorry, no.
That's where we stop.
It's pertaining to the second Passover.
Oh, okay.
Are we doing anything for the second Passover, like a Zoom meeting?
Low.
Okay.
No, those that need to, they will do the same thing that we did on the first one. But you'll be at the house doing all that good stuff for those that have to do the second Pesach. All right, Kanisha had something?
So the next lessons are the because you said there's stages to this. So just so I can have clarification, I just should prepare for this, how to work through these stages.
Okay. Yeah. I'll answer. When you said lessons, I'm just gonna let you know it's a lesson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one more lesson, and we will go over some of these for sure. Yeah. We're gonna get that starting point for you. No worries. Mm-hmm.
All right, shalom. Just kind of in the latter part of this particular lesson, certain things are starting to kind of come to mind and come into a little better clarity for me, because we know that his breath is ruach, it's the wind, and it's also the breath of life, and this is how he restores us. And towards the end, where you were talking about that he would breathe in us, that he would breathe on us, and that he would breathe in us, and he would put his breath in us. And that just brings to mind the scriptures where he said that, in the latter days, that when we turn away from our iniquity and turn back to him, and that he would put his ruach within us. And that's how he goes about doing it, is by putting that breath, that back into us, that has obviously left us, So, like I said, that just kind of tied in a couple of other scriptures and so on, and bringing it into a more full picture.
Yeah, we'll go over some of those, like in Ezekiel 36 and some other places, about him putting his ruach in us. But I want to make sure that we understand that he's not going to put his ruach in mess. He's not going to. If you're not ready, if you have not made yourself ready, he's not going to put something in you and cause you to walk wickedly somewhere else with his spirit mixed in the mix of all of that.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something else that he kind of, pricked my heart to realize, that we are the tenders of our garden. We are the ones that have to break up that hard ground. So we're the ones that need to prepare the soil for his seed to be able to, go into it.
Right. That's why he
like
says,
you said, he can't put it in there until that ground has been broken up.
Right. That's why he tells us first we need to circumcise our heart. And then he says, I will circumcise your heart. So there's a part that we have to do, and there's a part that he will do. But if we don't do our part, then you missed your blessing. Because, some people think they're going to be robots or programmed to do it. That's not how that works. Okay. Anyone else? That's it. All right. Our hearts and minds